And we have Margie from California. Are you there, dear Margie?
Yes, I am.
Hi, thanks for holding on. Tell me your question.
Oh. Well, I recently started listening to your program. I just love it because it's teaching me so much. So I bought a dictionary, Catholic dictionary, and a Catholic catechism. I got the novena, but I don't understand the indulgence. I can't grasp it.
Okay. And what faith are you now, Margie?
Say that again?
What faith are you now?
Oh, yeah, I'm Catholic. We had, oh, gosh, you know,
Gotcha.
you're baptized, and then you have communion at age 7, you have confirmation at age 9.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But,
okay, good. Okay, good. And you know what? You're not alone. I tell you what, when you grow, even me, Margie, I grew up in my Jewish home, and I know what we did, and I loved it, and we've celebrated everything, but if somebody came into our home that was a Jewish convert, they said, you Jews don't even know what you have. You don't know why you do what you do. They would have been right. You know what I mean? Because we grow up, it's kind of cultural, and we don't always know why we believe what we believe. So blessed be God. Let me read you, Margie. I think you may have mentioned you got a catechism, but let me just read you the definition of an indulgence. And then it's a little complicated, but let me just read the sentence here from the catechism, and then I'll explain it simply. Right out of the catechism, and by the way, if you have a full catechism of the Catholic Church, there's a index in back, so you just have to go to the word, alphabetically indulgence, and it'll tell you where to look. But for now, this I'm quoting now, an indulgence is a remission before God of the temporal punishment due to sins, whose guilt has already been forgiven, which the faithful Christian who is duly disposed gains under certain prescribed conditions through the action of the Church, which as the minister of redemption dispenses and applies with authority the treasury of the satisfactions of Christ and the saints. That you'd have to speak. Don't worry if you didn't catch all that. But here's the idea, Margie. Let's say, do you have children?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the youngest? How old?
The youngest is probably 52.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Margie. Okay. Well, when the youngest was 7, okay, is he a boy?
No, I say the youngest was 49, but he just passed away.
Oh, dear Margie, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bring that all up. But here's the idea. When one of your sons, do you have a boy?
Yes.
Okay. Let's just say he was 7. What's his name? Okay, let's just say he's 7 years old. Let's just pretend that. And we're coming up against a break. We won't use your family as an example. Let me just give you this example. Can you hold on till after the break? I'll make it quick and very simple.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Margie. Hold on, dear. Hold on. We'll be right back after the break, and others of you are welcome to call in during the break. It's 888-914-9149. We'll be right back, Margie, and we don't need to take your family as an example. I've got one in my mind. Okay, hold on.
from the fear of being lonely. Deliver me, oh God. Deliver me, oh God. And I shall not want, no, I shall not want. When I taste your goodness, I shall not want. When I taste your goodness, I shall not want. From the fear of serving others, oh, and from the fear of death or trial, and from the fear of humility. Deliver me, oh God. Yes, deliver me, oh God. And I shall not want, no, I shall not want. When I taste your goodness, I shall not want. No, I shall not want. No, I shall not want. When I taste your goodness, I shall not want. When I taste your goodness, I shall not want. I shall not want. Shall not want.
This is Heart to Heart with Mother Miriam. Call now to join the show. 888-914-9149. Now here's your host, Mother Miriam.
Welcome back, beloved. Margie, are you still there?
I'm here.
Oh, bless you for holding on. And for those who are joining us after the break, Margie is looking for the understanding of indulgences. And let me explain it the way I came to understand it coming into the church, Margie. Let's say someone you have a 7-year-old son, let's just say, and you have told him not to play baseball in Mrs. Smith's backyard. She's your neighbor, and you've told him not to play baseball there. Well, one day, little Johnny, your son, somebody's son, takes his friend, and they go and play baseball in Mrs. Smith's backyard. They know they're not supposed to do that, but they do it anyway. And the ball goes through Mrs. Smith's window. And Johnny, because you've raised him right, Johnny goes to Mrs. Smith, and he says, Mrs. Smith, I'm very sorry, but we didn't mean it, but the ball went through your window. We broke your window. We're awfully sorry, Mrs. Smith. And Mrs. Smith says, oh, Johnny, thank you so much for coming and telling me. Don't worry about it. I forgive you. And then Johnny comes home and he says, Mom, I'm not supposed to play baseball in Mrs. Smith's yard, but I did, Mom, and the ball went through her window, but we went and we apologized to her, and she said it's okay, we shouldn't worry about it. Okay, Mom? And what are you going to say to Johnny? You're going to say, Johnny, good for you that you went and spoke to Mrs. Smith, and I'm glad she forgave you. But unless you help Johnny to mow the lawn, to earn the money, to pay back Mrs. Smith for the window, Johnny will never understand the consequences of his choices. He will never understand that every choice we make in life, for good or ill, affects everyone else. And so Johnny's already forgiven by Mrs. Smith, but now he is paying the punishment due to his sin, not before God, because he's forgiven. Of course, he'll go to confession. He's forgiven before God, but the damage he's done on earth, breaking the window, has to be paid for by Johnny. And by that, the penance God gives us is what really makes us whole. He doesn't just say, I forgive you, don't worry about it. He says, of course I forgive you. We go to confession, we confess our sin, and the priest says, I absolve you in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Jesus is the one who absolves us through that priest. But then the priest gives us a penance, and he doesn't give us a penance in order that we will be forgiven. He gives us the penance because we've been forgiven. And that penance will make reparation for the temporal effects of our sin. We're forgiven before God. The guilt of our sin is forgiven. But the effect here on earth to the people that we've harmed needs to be paid for by us, by our own making reparation for it. And that's what the indulgence does. We make reparation on earth for the sins we've committed. But when if we're on our way to heaven, Margie, we die in a state of grace, and we're on our way to heaven. Suppose little Johnny didn't mow the lawn. He was forgiven. But suppose he just didn't, either for forgetfulness or rebellion or whatever it is, he didn't mow the lawn. He didn't pay back the money for the window that he broke. Now what? If he dies in a state of grace, he's going to go to heaven by way of purgatory. Purgatory is the purging of the remains of self-love, which is the cause of all sin. And if we don't pay for the temporal, earthly effects of our sin, though we're forgiven before God, but if we don't, so to speak, repair the window, then it still has to be repaired. The temporal effects of our sin still have to be repaired. They still have to be reparation. They need to be healed. And if we don't make those sacrifices on earth, then in purgatory, we need people. We can't help ourselves in purgatory. We can help ourselves on earth, but not in purgatory. In purgatory, it's going to be too late for Johnny to do anything to repair that window. And he's going to need his friends on earth to make reparation for him, to offer sacrifices for him, which will gain him the indulgence, which will be the payment of his sins, the temporal effect of his sins on earth. I could say, okay, Johnny, you're in purgatory now. I love you. I know you're on your way to heaven. I want to help pay for the window so you could get out of purgatory and go to heaven. And so I will sacrifice something. I'll sacrifice a meal. I'll sacrifice receiving the grace of communion and offer it for Johnny. And I'll make sacrifices on earth to get those out of purgatory. Does that help at all, Margie?
That helps a great deal because that really helps with the sacrifice. It just makes it easier.
Oh, I'm glad.
I have a lot of loved ones in purgatory, and I'm going there myself. So I'll be praying and praying and praying.
There you go. And we should always pray for those in purgatory. And if any of them are in heaven, our prayers won't be wasted. Our Blessed Mother will use them for someone who needs them. Margie, God bless you, dear one. Okay, God bless you.